Hurricane Kiko is now a Category 4 hurricane out in the eastern Pacific Ocean. The good news is that this storm is expected to weaken by the time it gets closer to the island chain. Let's take the latest look at the National Hurricane Center's track for this storm. Over the next couple of days, you're going to continue to see a westward track for Hurricane Kiko, remaining at major hurricane strength. That's Category 3 or above. Thursday afternoon, it's still a Category 4. It's really Friday evening and Saturday morning where you start to see a more northwestward shift with this storm, getting closer to the Central Pacific, actually weakening as it gets into the Central Pacific, back down to Category 3 strength, then Category 2, and then Category 1 strength as it's getting into Monday evening and closer to the island chain. Some of the weather models are actually hinting that this system will weaken even further, maybe potentially back down to tropical storm strength. Let's take a look at some of the long-range weather models and the spaghetti plots. That just is a different word for ensemble members. It's all of the weather models displayed on one screen. You can see a lot of agreement for the track of this storm going forward. However, as we get into next week, you're going to see a lot of spread, especially with the landfall or potentially it moving closer to the state. There's about a 300 to 400 mile spread right here in the weather models, especially as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So a lot is still going to evolve. The reasoning for this more northward track and the spread in the weather models comes down to the lower pressure that's going to cut off from the jet stream. Why is Kiko moving north? You see low pressure up here to the north of the state, really in the northern Pacific. I want you to watch right here. This is a cutoff low that's going to move southward and cut the high pressure systems to our north in half. It's actually going to allow for a little bit of Kiko's path to move further northward. We're watching that very closely. Kiko itself is a low pressure system and is going to want to move towards this low pressure system that's continuing to move to the south. So that's something that we're going to have to monitor very closely. It will continue to drive the path of Kiko going forward. The sea surface temperatures out there, especially in the Central Pacific, are cooler than average. You can see this blue water right here that's actually going to weaken Kiko as it continues moving off towards the northwest and into the central of the Central Pacific, and also as it continues to move to the north of the state, if it takes that more northward track, it's going to run into strong winds aloft that are going to weaken the storm even further. Outside of that, let's take a look at the European model out there, which has been a more southward track, bringing it directly into the Big Island, and then most of the moisture actually moves to the west and away from the rest of the island chain. However, the American model actually brings more rainfall for the rest of the state. Of course, these are going to evolve. Make sure to stick with us as we continue to update you more on Hurricane Kiko going forward.